What's up?
It's us.
Got some sea cats for your rainy Monday mornings. Imagine if you're listening to this on a rainy Monday. It's gonna fucking make you feel weird.
Or recording this on a rainy Thursday.
It's not rainy and it's like gray.
It was rainy.
It was kinda rainy. Yeah, okay, fine, fair. Erika had returned to the room that had been given to her on the second floor of the guest house. The next room over was empty. It was very quiet there. Even pressing her ear against the wall wouldn't help her listen in on the voices in the cousin room. Even with hearing power boosted by the detective's authority, it would probably be impossible to make out anything. This room was the farthest down the hall, a long way away from the cousin room.
And last time my room was right next to theirs. I see. So you placed my room a little farther away this time.
Such a modification to the initial arrangement is well covered by the authority given to the Game Master. It would seem to be quite a reasonable first move.
Well, better for me that way too. Well, I got one of hear those brats' squeaky voices as they play cards.
This whole time, Erika had been facing the desk and working on something. She was preparing some of those packing tape seals from before. She had asked Kumasawa for the stickiest tape in the place. She drew a complicated signature that could not be counterfeited across it with a permanent marker, and then began making notches across it. This way, if she ever wanted to prove that some opening had remained closed, she could stick this tape over it, creating a powerful seal equal in strength to the Red Truth. These menacing seals had cornered Natsuhi so thoroughly in the previous game.
Yeah, great.
Is there something wrong?
He got me. The battler doesn't let anything get by him, does he?
Erika grimaced and showed the piece of packing tape she had torn off to Delanor. At a glance, Delanor couldn't tell what had annoyed Erika. However, as soon as she held it, she realized the difference right away. This won't be any good.
Yep. It's barely sticky at all. Someone ain't even close to the Red Truth.
Even packing tape can be of low quality, and it sometimes gets weaker with age. The tape Kumasawa had found was a bit too weak, even for normal use. It wasn't nearly sticky enough to be used as a detective seal. It is possible to tear it off cleanly. This cannot count as proof of a seal.
I guess battler isn't as totally incompetent as I thought. Probably tampered with all the packing tape on the island through the authority of the Game Master.
Letting Erika get her hands on packing tape gave her a fatal weapon to use against witches.
A witch's greatest weakness.
Packing tape? Hey, say what you will. For the longest time as a kid, I was like bizarrely frightened of having like this tape stuck to me. I just did not like the physical sensation of it.
Fair enough.
At all.
I used to like putting glue on my hands for fun.
Yeah, but that was an entirely different thing because you could do that on your own terms and watch it stick and harden, and then when it hardens, it just comes off.
I see.
There is a tangible difference here, and I need you to appreciate that.
Okay.
Plus, glue is tasty. Or so I'm told. Oh, man. And so Battler had removed that weapon from the entire mansion. Most likely, all possible substitutes for packing tape have also been tampered with.
Yeah, probably. Well, this isn't really so bad. At least this way I won't have to look like a fool crawling all over the outer wall in cold rain.
Erika tossed the packing tape aside carelessly and flopped spread-eagled onto the bed.
Anyway, being calling for the crime and smoking a pipe is also part of the detective's role, right? I ain't telling you'll have any role until the first twilight begins, so why not vanish off somewhere and take a break? Take 15, they're mandated, right?
They are, but sometimes I choose to get my work done rather than taking my break.
See, that's your problem right there. You gotta assert your rights. If they tell you that you're legally owed a 15-minute break, you gotta stand up and take it. Doesn't matter if you think you can get more work done. I imagine just the sight of my face is tiresome to you.
I do not smoke. I am just a kid. Not gonna say it. Not gonna say it. We did that joke like twice the episode before last.
Oh, really? I wish I could. Well, if it really is as refreshing as smokers claim.
It seems that you are not in high spirits.
Does it look that way?
Erika answered lazily, still looking up at the ceiling. That in itself was half an answer. The silence between the two was filled by the sound of the wind and rain. It was so quiet that the sound of the ticking clock rang out clearly.
Umineko no naku koro ni if Erika had a vape. And obnoxiously vaped at all times.
No, sir. Just because it tastes like bubblegum does not mean that it is also bad for you.
I don't know what the problem is. Look, it's got funny colors. Why do you think I sound like this all the time?
Lady Erika, may I ask a question?
It depends on what it is. The answer's probably no, though. Yeah, are we just gonna do the silent treatment? Oh, we're just killing time anyway. What is it?
Maybe Erika was bored too, or perhaps the sound of the rain was making her sentimental. She agreed to listen to Delanor, which was very unlike her. Why? Why do you hate magic?
You mean that thing downstairs with Maria? Magic killed my dad. Probably. I don't know what killed your dad.
Woo!
Excuse me. It was merely a foolish trick to deceive children. Everyone knew that. Was it really necessary to go so far as to destroy that illusion? I cannot understand. Erika didn't need Delanor to tell her that it had been a childish fight.
Well, I am a self-proclaimed intellectual rapist. I can't stand having magic confuse the truth.
So you feel pleasure from exposing that? I sense a different emotion.
A different emotion? What's that?
To me, it feels less like pleasure and more like a different negative emotion.
You really are a murder doll, aren't you? Even your eyes are like knotholes.
My apologies. Please forgive me. Erika rolled over grumpily, turning her back to Delanor, so Delanor couldn't see her expression. Even so, for some reason she could guess that this completely unobserved expression was one of pain. Interpreting this to me that Erika wanted her to go away, Delanor gave a bow and made to leave. Then Erika suddenly spoke. The words seemed so utterly out of place that Delanor doubted her ears, and she had to ask Erika to say it again. What did you just say?
I love you.
It really did seem utterly out of place. Delanor wanted to see what Erika really meant, but the latter still had her back turned and her face was out of sight. Thank you very much.
I was going out with someone else a while back, but we've completely broken up. The others might say things out of envy, but please ignore them.
What?
I could devote my whole life to you, so I want you to do the same for me. Let's find happiness together.
What?
Delanor avoided asking what she was talking about and stood there in silence. What's wrong, Viv? You got something you want? Sounds like you want to jump in with something. You got something catch your eye?
Explain.
Is there like a subtlety here that I've missed? Maybe like a little tiny detail that's jumped out at you. What's going on in your head? Or you could just say nothing. That's fine too. Okay. All right, we'll just keep going on then. For a while, Kai. For a while, Kai.
I'm in your head, and I'm never gonna leave.
For a while, Erika kept on dully and emotionlessly repeating some soppy phrases that might have popped up in some shoujo manga. Then, unexpectedly, she once again followed up with a complete non sequitur.
A new wallet.
Pardon me. Of course, she had no idea what Erika was saying. However, with her back still to Delano, Erika kept saying disconnected words.
Strange cat keychain. A tape of cologne that didn't suit him. Music tape that's not his style, which he said he borrowed from a senior at the theater.
She's using her eidetic memory to read through something that she looked at earlier. Because she's had time in this mansion already to look at a lot of books and stuff, but not necessarily time to read them and internalize them. At least that's that's how descriptions of eidetic memory have been relayed to me. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but it's possible she's had time to look at things and hasn't had time to actually sit and read them.
I see.
His senior was asking, so he had to go. Suddenly got a new part-time job. Said he was talking with a friend on the phone who just wouldn't hang up. Ate too much curry. Went up to theater practice more often. The way he folds paper towels. Thanks, I've already eaten. He knew more about cosmetics. Sorry, I was sleeping. The toilet seat was left down. He spent the night over at a strange friend's place. My acting friends had a party here earlier. Someone must have left it behind. The train and the sink were cleaned out. Receipts and point cards for places he never goes. The money souls are evidence that he went out on Sunday when it was raining. That matches the strange symbol on the calendar. None of your theater friends have it here this long. That's a leading question. How do you know the plot of a movie you haven't seen yet? Evidence, circumstantial evidence, observation, surveillance, tracking, tailing, information gathering, wiretapping, asking around question. I found tons of evidence that I loved you. I found tons of evidence that you loved me. But I can't find any evidence that you haven't been cheating on me. Give it a rest. You love me, then trust me. If you can't do that, then you don't love me anymore. How can I love someone like that? I'll treasure you for all my life, and I want to dwell on theater just as much. You said you like seeing me act, right? So why are you telling me to stop acting now? Why do I have to choose between you and acting? What's wrong with you? I'm seriously worn out, okay? Come on, if all we do is fight, then when we see each other, maybe we both need some time to cool off, okay? I need to concentrate for my next performance. Anyway, this girl working with Senpai suddenly said she wouldn't be able to perform. I need to rewrite the script by tomorrow. I don't have time for this.
I think I have a guess now as to what is happening in this.
Anyway, if you really did find it that hard to trust me, we're through. Stay away. Just go home, bitch. I don't love you anymore. Don't cry, damn it. It's disgusting. Just die. Stop shouting, damn it. You're annoying the neighborhood. Just get the hell away from me and never come back. Without love, it cannot be seen. That's backwards. Because of love, you end up seeing things that don't even exist. It's nothing more than an illusion, but that no one but you can see, and no one that you can ever touch. Without love, humans would never need to sift through truth and lies. Because we can see things like that, we doubt. We suffer. We cry out loud. Right now, I'm happy. Though maybe temporary, I've become the Witch of Truth. As I am now, I no longer need to worry about being tormented by non-read words. What about you? How would you have countered my endgame, huh?
How would
I? Hey, useless man couldn't have played part of my opponent in that game. I was wondering how you would have countered it.
Delano was suddenly thrust into the position of Erika's opponent. In the witch's game, she had once challenged that man too. Delano shared in the fragments of Erika's past and was made to grasp the full situation. The board was reproduced in full inside their heads. The situation was one-sided. Erika's side had constructed a blue truth based on countless bits of circumstantial evidence, had turned all of those bits into pieces, and was already cornering the opponent. For some time, Delano thought in silence, and announced her by-the-book response. First,
Move.
I demand that you provide evidence that I have been
Cheating.
Counter with the blue truth. I present 84 points of circumstantial and physical evidence.
Counter with the blue truth.
Truth.
I present 6 points of circumstantial and physical evidence that I still love you.
You.
Good. Blue and blue cancel each other out, but whatever pieces used to construct each is overwhelmingly unbalanced.
When both opponents meet with the blue truth, the decision is almost always based on which side has more pieces of evidence, regardless of the actual circumstances. This is especially true in the human world. So by the standard rules, Erika would win.
First point to me. Your next move?
I will attempt to switch offense and
Defense.
I ask that you, Lady Erika, provide proof that you are not
Cheating.
Perpetual check. That's a forbidden move since the result in endless repetition of the same question going both ways.
Then I frankly declare that, despite a lack of proof, I still love Lady Erika even now.
Now.
It's not red truth, so it's invalid. Even if it was red, that'd be stalemate. After all, I have no move to counter with.
Delano remained silent for a while. Then she quietly responded to Erika's moves until they reached checkmate. Okay, this is making a couple of things make more sense. A stalemate is a forbidden move in the game of witches since it means the ruin of the game. However, in chess it also represents a draw. Because of this, it is a splendid final move that a weaker player can pull off if they're unable to win outright. In this situation, Erika clearly had the advantage, so it was natural that Delano would seek a stalemate to obtain a tie. However, that would only be the case in chess. In the game where witches fight over the truth, it is a forbidden move, so it was already checkmate from the very beginning. Delano had no way to turn the game around. However, regardless of what the real red truth between the pair of them, the real truth between the two of the pair of them had been, this game would be.
Any other moves? Oh, and judging Archbishop, protector of the truth.
No.
I
Resign.
See? There you go.
Erika had succeeded in crushing her opponent with the truth she espoused, that her former boyfriend no longer loved her and was cheating on her. Her opponent had no way to argue back. After all, humans are not allowed to... Redacted. A splendid game. A splendid finish from a superior position. Regardless of the truth of her opponent, Erika could win. A splendid victory. Alright. Can we just take a moment here to, sidebar on this? So, did you catch the really important detail in the memories, the game board that Erika was turning over in her head?
What detail?
The detail that stood out to me was that the person who felt cheated on was someone who was a patron of the theater.
Mm-hmm.
They were an actor, right?
Mm-hmm.
That immediately made me connect it back to Featherine, the Witch of Theater going, right? She presents herself now as someone who's on the outside watching. But the idea of it as a theater is definitely a strange choice, unless it's something that you're already familiar with. And then I had the idea that, wait, and you want to hear something silly?
Sure.
I got to this idea by way of Sword Art Online. So in Sword Art Online, if you don't know this wonderful, wonderful show, it's an isekai, right? This guy creates this virtual world, traps a whole bunch of VR gamers inside of it.
Spoilers.
Spoilers for Sword Art Online, and it has life or death stakes, right? If you die, you die. If you die in the game, you die in real life, and all that. However, and while that would have worked perfectly, and he was planning on waiting at the end to become the final boss for all the people who stayed in the game, he eventually gets bored and instead comes down and tries to insert himself alongside them. And that turns out to be his downfall, as the protagonist, Kazuma, figures out... Not Kazuma. What the fuck is his name? What's his name? Kirito. It's, Kirito, Kazuma. Fucking hell. Sorry. Got the other one on my mind. So Kirito figures out that he's among them.
Every isekai protagonist is the same guy, huh?
Yeah, every isekai protagonist is the same guy. And what he says is, because the reason it's pretty easy, because anyone running a game for this long would naturally want to put themselves inside the story as well. And that's why I think Erika has suddenly shown up 4 game boards in. Because I think Featherine is tired of not having herself in the story.
Interesting.
She's been invested for so long, right, in creating these versions of these characters and this world that she's spun off from this single tale, that she almost needs to have someone like herself in it. And I think that's where Erika gets her drive and motivation from. And I think that's revealing of kind of maybe it's not the totality of Featherine's personality, but definitely the more aggressive and analytical versions of it. The kind that needs to obsessively pick apart and understand everything that has happened to these people who she doesn't know and has no connection to, and insert herself into their lives in order to get answers she feels she's owed for something that, for all, when it comes down to it, she's still an outsider. And that's how Sword Art Online helped me solve Umineko.
Clipping it.
What do you mean clip? Don't clip that. Can't believe I called him Kazuma. Oh, because his name is Kazuto. That's why. Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's why. His actual name is
Hirigaya Kazuto.
Yeah. Okay.
Why do I know this?
Because I have terrible taste and I inflicted upon you. Anyway, that was what was going through my head during that scene. Because it seems like the scene that Erika was turning over in her head might have been an argument that, what's her name, author lady, was having with herself, and might give her a reason to obsess over something like this. And also, given that the red and blue truths are an invention of Featherine, right?
Probably.
They are. They don't appear in the first game board. The only game board that we know to be legitimate. That it would certainly make sense that that's kind of the way she thinks about things. And she kind of needs that level of... And, like, she's constantly searching for that level of clarity she can never have. Anyway. Delanor could only respond with silence. And with that, Erika spoke no more. She was probably done talking and wanted Delanor to leave. Delanor understood this, but even so... Before leaving, she wanted to tell Erika one thing. A splendid game, Lady Erika. GG.
It's only natural that a detective wins, right?
Even before you became Lady Berncastle's piece, you were a splendid wielder of the blue
Truth.
However, Lady Erika, humans are only allowed to use the blue
Truth.
And the only thing that can counter blue truth is red
Truth.
And humans are not to use the red
Truth.
Oh, is that what was redacted earlier? Humans cannot use the red truth.
Maybe.
In that case, how should your opponent have shown his
Truth.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe you should have just used that gold truth or whatever. Just supposed to be stronger than the red truth at times.
You certainly were the victor in that
Game.
However, allow me to say this as a protector of the
Truth.
What? I said something unpleasant, so say it and go away.
Yes.
This game is your
Victory.
However, You still have not denied the 6 points of blue truth evidence I used to claim that I still love you. Even you are
Human.
You cannot use red truth to deny those
Points.
Later on, I used the detective's authority to have all 84 points transformed into red truth. By the power of my master. I'm human and yet superior to humans. A detective and a witch. I am the Witch of Truth, Bruto Erika. Any other questions? Parting remarks?
I have...
None.
In that case, please excuse me.
Me.
Delanor bowed and disappeared. After that, all that remained was a single Witch of Truth, laughing off a bitter past with an equally bitter smile. One other thought that just occurred to me while I was working through that theory that I was rattling off. Is there any chance that author lady, she's like visually I look at her and I think like, okay, mid-30s, right? Is there any possibility that she was alive? She must have been alive during the events of the Rokkenjima incident. Is there any chance that she came into contact with any part of the family, no matter how, in no matter what, a glancing way? And that somehow connects her to the events?
I don't know.
Judging by the bedside clock, it was almost exactly 2400.
Okay, I guess I should get a little sleep. Curtain is finally open on the second day, October 5th. Wonder if this round's murders are happening somewhere about now. Hope our victims leave us some interesting dying messages this time.
What if no one dies this time?
That'd be awesome. That or Erika dies.
That or Erika dies. George immediately goes back and tells Ava about this. What the fuck? Well, I mean, okay. I'm with Ava that you should reconsider this, but not for the reasons that I'm sure she's about to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I feel very, very complicated about this. Why didn't you discuss this with your mother? This is about the partner who's supposed to support you through the rest of your life.
That's right. She's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with.
And that's why you need to choose it very carefully, right? How can you be so rash? Ava and George could be seen beneath the eaves of the guest house. George had revealed his engagement with Shannon. Ava's anger had exploded almost instantly. This had been no more than George had expected, so he had responded with ice-cold calm. Did you sleep with her? She told you she was pregnant to force you into a marriage, didn't she?
How rude. I'm a strong believer in preserving chastity before marriage.
See, okay, that was my fault, probably. Then why an engagement?
I asked her. She accepted. What more could be needed?
No, it's all wrong. Marriage isn't as easy as it seems in manga or whatever you're thinking of. What about her parents? Relationships between two families? Are you some straight alley cat or are you Ushiromiya George? How could you be so rash now, when you might be selected as grandfather's successor? Why didn't you consult me? And this ties back to how we've seen Ava says she feels about marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where she does love Hideyoshi, right? But it's something that the two of them grew into.
Mm-hmm.
Their marriage was one of, not practicality, but political alignment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alliance.
I'm consulting you right now. No, not consulting. I'm just reporting. I've never counted on being selected as grandfather's successor. In fact, I'd rather refuse if it did come to that.
Interesting. You would you? Okay.
I want to build up my own country and castle from the empty wilds, just like father did.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Now listen here. Do you realize how hard your father's worked to get here? That's not something you could just duplicate by imitating him. Do you understand how often he was saved by luck and coincidence before now?
And he got through it because he had a wonderful life partner by his side, you. Sayo is the kind of person who will support me and make me be reborn as an even stronger man. You've praised me for becoming the adult I am, but that could never have happened without her.
What? Are you listening? George? Just let your mother handle this for now. Cool your head and think very carefully. Shannon isn't the only person interested in you, right? Ayumi-san from that marriage meeting really took a liking to you.
Hey, we're finally getting answers for that.
Yo! How long ago was that?
Like, episode 2, wasn't it?
Right? Well, I meant in universe, but yeah, it's been a while since we
Yeah.
talked about Ayumi.
First I've heard of it.
I thought you knew. Her parents were also very impressed by you. If you really dreamed to build your own castle like your father, Ayumi-san is the one who'd really be able to help you, right? Do you intend to betray her feelings?
There's nothing to betray. There was never any special relationship between Ayumi-san and me. We just had a marriage meeting and our parents got all fired up afterwards. You made us go out together several times, but we never even looked at each other.
So she didn't let up on it. She kept pressing on it.
Yeah.
I see. Ayumi-san is a well-bred, modest woman, isn't she? She couldn't just look at you because you're a man and it would be embarrassing and ill-mannered. If you can't feel anything from her unless she looks at your eyes, then just tell her that. I'm sure she'll look at you in the future.
You want me to marry Ayumi-san because it will benefit you. You aren't pushing that engagement for the sake of anyone but yourself.
Okay, yes, but also George. Jesus Christ, man. George, how can you say that? Have I ever failed to think about what's best for you? I haven't, have I? What is a parent's job? To look after the long-term welfare of their children, right? We've been looking down upon your entire future from a great height. And from our vantage point, we can see that you're letting your momentary youthful emotions lead you down the wrong path. That is why I'm saying this, even though I know you'll hate me for it. If I didn't care for you, we wouldn't be having this fight. I'd just tell you to marry whatever strange girl you like and leave you be. Do you hear me, George? Leave this to your mother. There's no need for you to meet with Shannon-chan anymore. We'll take care of everything for you. Don't worry, we won't do anything bad to Shannon-chan. After all, it's thanks to her that you've grown so much. We won't forget that. So leave the rest to us, George. Sometime during Ava's rage, tears had started to drip from her eyes. As though those tears had caused him to hesitate, George turned his back and sagged his shoulders. Even George is a child of man, after all. Though he understands that marriage requires nothing more than the love of two people, he can't get over his desire for his parents' acceptance. And so he is trapped between the tears of the mother who has always helped him and the fiancé he chose. Or is he?
Who's talking?
I think that was George.
Okay, I think that's about enough.
Huh?
All my life, you've done a great job raising me, and I'm grateful for that. When I have children and become a parent, I'll become a parent like you. I'll be the kind of parent most worthy of respect in the entire world, one who can truly fight for his children's sake.
George? With his back still towards her, George threw away his umbrella and slowly stepped out from beneath the eaves into the rain. And then he slowly turned around. It was without a doubt the familiar face of Ava's beloved son. However, he was now his own man, self-controlled and independent enough that their blood connection might be forgotten. Is he about to get a witch soda?
I think it's about time.
For what?
I think it's about time you learn to let go of your son, Mother. Angry
Sure.
George. From now on, let's stop talking as mother and son. I am George. You are Ava. Let's forget that you're my parent and let our true intentions ring clear. The reason you want to choose the person I marry is for financial reasons, public appearances, and so that you can look good in that continuing quarrel between you and your siblings. You have no other reason. You do well to just give up and admit it now.
I hate George's fucking eyebrow face. It's so awful.
I'm about to share my point of view with you. I suggest you do the same. After all, you will lose.
No traces of love or respect for his mother remained in George's eyes. There was only a frigid glare as he gazed ruthlessly down at the witch who was trying to bind his future. George, why? Why are you looking at your mother like that?
Because I'm not looking at my mother. All I see is a wall, a trial. that's standing in the way of the future I'm trying to grasp. You're only human. I know that you have dreams and ambitions and that you're still chasing after those. And I think that's a wonderful thing. We also know how hard it is for a person to chase their dreams without giving up. So, I'll need to inherit your wonderful strength. I've learned a lot from my parents, my friends, and Sayo, and I've grown. And the last thing I've learned, acquired, and perfected is the real Ushiromiya George. Now I'll overcome the final barrier, you.
What? What? Oh, right, sorry. Ava had disappeared. The pouring rain landed evenly across the ground everywhere. No, it was blocked very slightly in one place. However, there was no one there. Standing on the ground isn't the only way to block the path of the rain. Then, could it be... Yo! It... Which?
Sure, it's good for people to let their true feelings show you once in a while. I'll speak my mind too. So why don't you just lay it all out as well, huh?
In the rain-filled sky with a moon that shouldn't have been visible behind her was the golden witch of the future who had finally obtained everything of the Ushiromiya family. Even the drastic change in his mother's appearance didn't faze George. On the contrary, he seemed to be moved by her boldness, because his mother had honestly and truly displayed her true nature. Oh, this is a George line.
This way, I can confidently show her my true self. Here we go, Mother. Here we go, Ava. This is my first step towards escaping from your shackles.
First step.
With that first
step, he felt something odd beneath his feet. He knew that this sticky sensation, different from that of mud, represented his mother's arrogance, trying to prevent him from taking that first step.
I used to read you all the time when you were little, didn't I? Do you remember your favorite story, Journey to the West?
That takes me back. That's probably the first fantasy I really loved.
Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, wanted to become a god and was tested by Buddha. If you can jump free from the palm of my hand, I will acknowledge your wish. Then Sun Wukong managed to reach out what he thought was the end of the world, and around the 5 pillars standing there, only to discover that they were Buddha's fingers, and that he still hadn't left Buddha's hand.
And you're likening this to my first step, me declaring my intention to break free from you?
Your resistance, your conflict, your anguish and self-restraint, and everything else. All of it is a road I once traveled down. This first step of yours is so trivial when compared to my life, I'd just get gobbled up. How long are you gonna look away, huh? If only you just look. Look at your feet.
At George's feet, on the pitch-black earth soaked by the pounding rain, was what appeared to be a slightly red sash that glowed ominously and blocked George's first step. It was deep, vicious, and it held George's foot in place. From Ava's perspective, as she gazed down from the sky, it looked like a vast red spiderweb that radiated out with George at the center.
That's right. This is me. This is me being tied down by countless studies and raised for the sake of your ambitions.
No, that's not it. Let me put this so you can understand, okay? So you want my perfect logic, huh? My perfect web of red. Shit. I'll show you, and then you'll realize the truth.
The vast red spiderweb on the ground scooped up George as easily as scooping up scum out of a pot. Then it lifted him into the air like a deer caught in the net and swung him about. Laughing insanely, Ava was innocent and cruel, as a grade schooler happily swinging about a bag filled with her gym clothes.
God.
Oh, man. They really upped the budget on these cutscenes.
Come on, try to remember, okay? What happened on Tuesdays?
I remember. That was piano lessons. I still cringe whenever I hear I stepped on the cat.
You did violin in kindergarten. That's the sort of instrument you expect smart kids to play, right? But you didn't seem to have the talent, so we switched over to piano.
Then do you remember what you did on Wednesdays?
I remember. That was the day I had cram school. It was so far away and a real pain to have to travel to.
And Thursdays? That was the day for supplemental lessons. You were just terrible at subject with memorization, weren't you? Could apply your knowledge, but were horrible at learning by rote. A classic he could do it if he tries kid.
That one stung. Those are the most annoying words a kid can hear at a parent-teacher conference.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a drink.
That's a British aphorism, isn't it?
You're an aphorism. Making you get and stay motivated was the hardest thing to do.
Is this where we're going to find out that Ava beats George as well?
Maybe.
George was bound hand and foot by the bright red spiderweb, reduced to the witch's plaything. She innocently swung him around and smashed him about, all with an insane laugh, again and again.
Do you remember what you did on Fridays?
Of course. As far as after-school lessons go, that one was pretty unique. A school you go to with your parents can be trying in more ways than one.
Don't buy your child a fishing rod, go fishing with them.
You certainly like British education theory, don't you, Mother? Ugh.
That school was hard on his parents, too. But for you, it was the most effective one. The monthly fee was high and it was a pain to spend Friday nights there every week. But it did more for you than anything else. That's when I realized. Kids don't grow unless their parents watch over them. If children are sprouts, then parents are the sun. No plants will bud, no flowers will bloom without the sun.
This Friday school. This Friday school. What we did on Fridays. It's pretty unique after school. It's school where you go to with your parents that can be trying in more ways than one. I wouldn't liken to British education theory. School or a place where parents watch over them at all. Is that ringing any bells for you?
Just sounds like some sort of weird school for rich people.
Yeah, I guess. Huh. I was trying to see if I could place place it as like a real world thing that I could then connect it, but you know.
I can't.
Still bound hand and foot, George was thrown, slammed, and smashed. He could do nothing. He was like the son of Wukong, unable to leave the palm of his mother's hand. However, since he wouldn't surrender, he could still show resistance at any time.
And what about Saturdays, huh?
That's when the tutor came.
He came to our house, which made it much easier, right?
It was a... Oh.
It was a pain having to invite some other person in my own private room every week.
Oh, no, this is George.
Really? I hated the smell of sweat left behind when he left, so much that I can still remember it.
He was a wonderful teacher who drilled a scholarly attitude into you. His monthly fees were on par with the lawyer's consultation fee, and it was well worth it.
Then, on the Sundays and Mondays that followed, I didn't have any extra school and could finally rest. How ironic. Have those extra classes from Tuesday until Saturday held me down all this time? I really am just like Sun Wukong.
Yeah, if you're arrogant enough to think that you can escape from the palm of my hand, you'll be crushed by Buddha's 5 mountains.
Sun Wukong, who wanted to become a god, was crushed by the 5 mountains of fire, water, wood, metal, and earth and sealed away. These are the 5 elements that the days of the week, Tuesday through Saturday, are named after in Japanese.
But then the Fire Nation attacked.
But then everything changed. I was trying to find a way to work it in gracefully, and I couldn't.
Me neither.
Only now did George, who had always admired Sun Wukong, recognize this greatest of ironies.
Just like Sun Wukong, you need to reflect upon and be punished for your arrogance. If you can show that you're willing to reform yourself, I'll release you.
That's not being released, it's brainwashing. Ah.
There's no need to think about anything. Why not just leave everything to Mama? I'll decide everything for you. That's the kind of best life for you, right? I I found the most intellectual woman in the world, willing to devote herself to you for entirely, arrange for all your successes, and even prepare the roads leading to them. And eventually you'll be chosen to the highest honor in the Ushiromiya family, the position of successor to the headship. Only then will you begin your true life. A first step? Don't make me laugh, you still haven't even been born yet. This isn't my web that you're caught in. You're still inside my caring, nurturing womb.
That's an attitude.
Woo! Working through some shit, okay. George was slammed against the ground over and over. It was a heartless atrocity, unlike anything one would expect a blood-related son to receive. However, in Ava's eyes, perhaps even this was a sign of love for her precious son. The human-shaped lump of flesh wrapped in the red bag was slammed over and over and then thrown high into the air, where it was caught in a massive spiderweb in the sky, still covered with fresh blood. While he hung there as though crucified, George didn't even twitch.
Where are your gift subs now, George?
Even if he had some power to resist remaining to him, the red web pinning him there would have held him even that in check. The rain, which had been falling non-stop since the beginning, quietly tormented and pitied George.
Be sealed by the 5 mountains and cool your head. I'm not telling you to stop because I think Shannon Challen's a bad kid, okay? She's a great girl, the one who gave you a chance you needed to grow up. However, an ill-considered engagement is a different matter entirely. The issue has nothing to do with some failing on her part. Understand that?
Blame the problem, not the peer, right? That's another British saying.
I really did raise you to be a smart kid. No, I am raising you. You're still inside me, right? You need to be nurtured just a little while longer. Okay, that's enough punishment, so apologize to your mother.
The spiderweb released George reluctantly. Then it threw him to the ground beneath the cloudy sky.
Thank you, Mother.
Was all George could do to get up on his hands and knees. Though he wiped the mud away and stood his ground, he still couldn't raise his head.
Everything you've done so far, you've done for me, haven't you? Thank you. Thanks for everything.
That's right. You must hate me now. But one day you'll thank me. I'm sure you'll understand how much I loved you.
Being bound by all those extra classes from Tuesday until Saturday, that's a sign of how hard you worked to raise me to be an excellent man.
That's another British phrase. To cover a child in blessings is the greatest education of all.
Thank you. In return, I'll give you a British saying.
Oh, and what's that?
Even if you strike all the trees in the forest once with an axe, you will not fell a single tree.
Huh? And what does that mean?
Maybe this one is clearer. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. Francis Bacon.
The man, drenched in mud and blood, straightened his crooked glasses and slowly stood up.
Knowledge is power. Francis Bacon.
Though he was covered in filth, his appearance had a divine quality to it, something that could only appear on a self-controlled man, not one who had merely been dozing in his mother's amniotic fluid.
I cannot count the number of things I've learned from Sayo. She taught me courage and chivalry, how to be ambitious and witty and humorous and just a little stylish. It's ironic. Almost all of the things you say are so wonderful about me didn't come from you at all.
George, are you still? Time to get back in Mother's womb. I'll nurture you in a sea of warmth once more.
As Ava howled, a bright red spiderweb appeared at George's feet once more and tried to scoop him up into the air again. However, at that instant, a powerful magic circle could be seen in the area surrounding George for just a moment. Faster than he could be scooped up by the spiderweb, George jumped, and with a sharp kick of the heel and a magnificent forward flip, he cut the shackles of that spiderweb apart.
George and his kicking magic.
What?
That smooth movement proved that he possessed the power to escape from those shackles all along. He had willingly allowed himself to be bound by that web.
Everything I owe you for what you've done, I've paid back now with pain. Thanks to that, I think I'll finally be able to leave the nest for good. You really do need these every now and then. Fights between parents and kids.
God damn, George, you are not...
No one here is well adjusted.
No.
George, why must you disobey me so completely with a little girl like that?
It looks like
Literally, she's 16, you fucker.
It looks like you really do need to let go, Mother.
George, even if everything else, for fuck's sake.
Maybe it's about time.
Time for what?
It's about time. Time to start fighting back.
You can't pull that twice. Okay, it is still pretty badass, actually. The curtain of spiderwebs that Ava shot out in defense were all too slow. George weaved through them in one instant, and the next he was right before her eyes.
Ah! Ah!
Do you see that look of contempt on his face there for a moment?
Yeah.
Ava jumped out of the way with a kick that would have knocked her feet out from under her, and then blocked the second half of George's double roundhouse with a high kick of her own. Right, because George's kickings are based off of Ava kicking people.
I guess there's one thing I can thank you for teaching me.
Oh, and what day of the week was that?
It's the martial arts training we focused on during long breaks from school.
I'm glad, George, to hear you're grateful for at least one thing. Your mother is so happy.
Ava's swift feet flashed like lightning. Low, 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 mid-level attack.
Wait, that one's a mid?
Yeah, I know, that one's a mid. It doesn't seem like it should be, but it is.
Damn it, I was blocking high. What the hell?
As George's head fell forward, she caught it in both hands as though she was about to smash it against the ground. It was then met with Ava's knee as it rose like a bolt of lightning from the earth.
You should have learned Muay Thai, too. It would have been more fun to have learned it with you.
You're right. I never had more fun than when I was learning martial arts with you.
Then right now is when we get to have the most fun, right? Isn't it fun, George? Isn't it?
Is it fun to play with your son like this, Mother?
Yeah, it is. You're my precious son, and I'll love you lots and lots inside of my womb. I even love it when you kick in there.
Understood. Also, gross. But this kick's coming from the outside of your belly.
I'm the one who's gross? George, I'm not the one who's trying to marry a literal child. Did I remind you of this?
George's knee buried itself into Ava's abdomen. An instant before she felt the pain of that fierce attack, Ava watched her son's kick with a proud smile, and then vomited.
You're getting on in years, Mother. Maybe it's about time you held back on wearing childish clothes like that.
George!
Her chin still covered in vomit, Ava looked up at George in twisted anguish. She could see how pathetic her face was by her reflection in his glasses.
Both you and I need to leave our childhood days behind. So long, Mother.
Should have said so long, gay Bowser. The fierce lightning and rain made time freeze. George's beautiful kick had stopped an inch from Ava's chest. However, the power of the red magic circle surrounding George had already pierced Ava's body. Though he had stopped without hitting her, blood poured out of Ava's back. No wound had been left on her chest, but her heart had been punched through. Ava slumped backwards and landed in a puddle with a splash. There were no convulsions. Her life had been ended without leaving her even an instant to writhe about in pain.
I know you're somewhere over there. Gap.
As he straightened his glasses, George spoke to the rose thicket behind him.
I'm slightly more shrill than Ava is, but only slightly.
Then a pitch black hole opened in the air there, and the gap jumped out.
Impressive. Even considering that it was before her ascension, I can't believe you managed to defeat Ava, Beatrice.
I thought you'd be there. Thanks for not interfering. I'm glad we were able to keep it between mother and son.
But of course, I wasn't here. You summoned me just now.
It doesn't matter either way. I have something to ask of you.
Is there any reason I should listen?
Will you refuse to listen?
With his back still facing her, George reset his glasses. The threat in his voice held the solemn presence of a king who could control demons. That presence made the Gap gulp, and she licked her lips before bowing respectfully to his back.
I like hot guys, but I like monarchs even more. Your wish is my command, O Demon King.
I want you to lay her body to rest in a place fitting for a woman who admired the head of the Ushiromiya family, and who lived her life with the misguided dreams of that position.
So in Kinzo's study?
No, the VIP room will do fine. That never-opened VIP room on the second floor of the mansion.
Oh, that room. As you wish, Your Majesty.
The Gap approached Ava's corpse and lightly tapped the ground with her right heel. When she did, a large hole opened up, swallowed both the Gap and the corpse, and closed. After a while, a small hole opened in the air, and the staff Ava always carried, marked with the one-winged eagle that symbolized Ushiromiya family's leader, was spat out into a puddle. Because the corpse would no longer have any use for it. George slowly approached that staff and stepped down hard on the tip. When he did, the staff spun violently into the air, and after passing by the blue moon that honored the Demon King, it flew into George's outstretched hand. Which George? Which George?
Which George?
Which George?
Magical girl transformation sequence?
If we don't get a magical girl transformation sequence for George, we riot. I don't like him at all, but I would never deny anyone that opportunity.
George Triss theory?
The instant he grasped it, another fierce lightning bolt landed nearby, and by the time the flash disappeared, the staff he held had become a spray of gold butterflies and vanished. It was as though George had crushed the staff out of existence.
And now, I've finished my part. I'll let someone else have a turn. I can't believe you attacked your own mother. It's the person who loves you first in this world and the last one you have to separate yourself from. That's what it means to leave your home. This is the courage I need to show to take Sayo as my wife. George-sama.
I kind of agreed with some of her points, though.
Bravo, Ushiromiya George. An excellent start. Even though it was just within the game, even though it was just a piece, I didn't like having to kill my mother. However, that was the trial you set me, so I saw it through.
He stared at the two demons. The demons looked at each other, then showed their surprise with their now familiar, exaggerated gestures.
Wonderful! Wasn't that splendid, Zepar? Indeed it was, Furfur. George Kun's determination is the real deal. It seems I've misjudged you. Please accept my apologies, Glasses Guy.
George chose not to go along with this theatrical conversation. He just quietly looked down upon the game board, found the piece representing his mother, which was right next to his, and tipped it over. This was the trial that Zepar and Furfur had set for him. So that the love of the pair will stand true, offer up the life of one person by your own hands. It was similar to that trial during Beato's games, where they were given 3 options as part of a test to select the next family head. However, a pair of lovers will never abandon each other's lives, so they were automatically left with the option of sacrificing the life of another instead. In fact, it was merciful that they only had to choose the life of one person other than themselves instead of all. Besides, it only meant taking those lives as pieces on the board. For the versions of themselves to whom the game board was the only world, this was a tragic power side. But to those who stood around the game board in this witch's smoking room, it was nothing more than a movement of the pieces representing George's will to overcome his parents. However, the fact remained that the demons had ordered them to take these lives, even if it was just within one of the endless fragment worlds. George appeared to have distanced himself from the events on the demon's game board, but Jessica still seemed to resist the idea of stealing another person's life, even if it was only their life as a piece on the game board.
Have you been scared stiff?
Wait, something just came to me.
Yeah?
The winner of this is gonna have the right to have their love consummated, right? Or not consummated. They're gonna have their love. What's the phrase? It has the capacity to be realized, right?
Yeah.
What do we see? What's the first thing we fucking saw in this episode? In EP6.
What?
Furfur and Zepar standing over a wedding between Battler
Erika
and
and
Erika.
Battler. Huh.
What the fuck do I make of that?
Erika butts in and wins?
Somehow Erika wins. And she's in love with Battler?
Wait,
sorry, yeah, I didn't mean to,
Wait.
There you go.
No, the Beatrice that Battler's son desires would not be shaken by the likes of this.
Well then, who will undergo the next
trial? Please choose the next victim. It doesn't matter who. Please name the next challenger. Any one of you may go. If no one speaks up, that means I win, doesn't it? Yes, that's right. If so, congratulations, Ushiromiya George. The key that leads to successful love between you and the one you cherish. We will now proudly grant...
Jessica.
Hold it right there.
As the demons delightedly named George the victor, they were interrupted by the next challenger.
Jessica-san. I'm up next. Okay, I'll do it. I'll show you that I'm serious about Canon-kun.
What a fucking weird ass game.
Yeah, huh?
I've got fucking weird. At least this game has never stopped surprising me. I'll give it that. Whoa! That's a menacing ass way to start.
Angry, Jessica.
That's a menacing way to start a chapter. Oh my gosh! Hold on. Before we do that, we mentioned this in the that we had seen this in the Discord, but we haven't brought it up yet. We haven't read Fur and Zafur we haven't read their Zepar's tips yet.
All right.
So why don't you go ahead and read Fur and Zepar's tips?
I'm Furfur. I'm one of the 72 great demons. I control love and test others through trials. I bestow endless, inexhaustible offensive power upon the maker of the contract, giving them enough courage to fearlessly overcome any barriers to their love. I'm a trainer of love who teaches tame boys the taste of flesh. I am of a different gender than Zepar. I am one of the 72 great demons. I'm Zepar. I control love and test others through trials. I bestow an ultimate defensive barrier of immortality upon the maker of the contract, giving them enough courage to unflinchingly face any wounds love might cause. I'm a hunter of love who likes and preys upon tame boys. I am of a different gender than Furfur.
Slaps proof of game. You can fit so much gender in this game. I just want to point out, Tran in theory has never been more likely than at this exact moment. Come on, let's all hope for our little egg here. Anyway, I also love that they don't tell you which ones, other than that they're just different.
Yeah, it could be any gender as long as they're two different ones.
It could be. They're just never the same. Never the same. They kept like, no, I'm that one today. Fuck, fine. Right.
Fighting over who gets to have the gender today.
Beato said it's my turn with the gender. So I think the menacing Jessica at the beginning is meant to be like, okay, this is Jessica's trial.
Okay.
And they say that they, in the narrative of the story, that they apparently take place in different shards, or not shards.
Fragments?
Fragments, thank you. But I have no idea whether or not how that relates to what is actually happening on the board.
It's unclear.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're meant to say that, like, did George fucking actually kill his mom because of something that they did? Because who do we have that are witnesses for this? Just the four of them, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be very important figuring out, depending on which ones of them are alive at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So which of them are able to tell this story on afterwards?
Mm.
Who is claiming this as the truth? Anyway, as usual, this year's family conference was getting bogged down. Everyone had decided to cool their heads for a moment, and a short break had been agreed upon. The four siblings could say whatever they wanted, but Natsuhi and Kyrie, for example, were outsiders and found it difficult to speak freely in this sort of atmosphere. Kyrie does? You sure about that? Kyrie always seems to be the fucking driving force of these conversations. But, all right. A conference where you aren't allowed to say what you want can be tiring, even as you just sit there quietly. Even Kyrie couldn't help but letting out a deep sigh. This was the second-floor hallway of the mansion. Rudolph had wanted to be alone during the break, so she had felt like doing the same, and had drifted up the stairs to reach this place. Kyrie's expression was tightly controlled than when her husband was around. Was less tightly controlled than when her husband was around. She wore a tired look that she didn't often show. She pressed her cheek against the cool window glass. I need to regain my spirit and support my husband. Even if I'm not allowed to speak, that is the duty I've won. Who is it? She suddenly sensed another person, turned around to look behind her, and saw Jessica standing at the other end of the hallway. Oh, it's you, Jessica-chan. Didn't you go to the guest house?
Well,
That phase.
I sort of decided to head back to my room to get a book.
I need a sprite sheet for all of Jessica's faces, because like half of them need to become emotes.
It's all on the wiki.
Oh my
I'm pretty sure.
Well, I can't open the wiki until we're freaking done now, can I? I see. And you're on your way back to the guest house now.
Yes, that's right. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand this rain. Is the wind really strong? Oh,
I can't stand this rain. Is the wind really strong?
it's weak right now, relatively speaking.
As Kyrie looked out the window, Jessica watched her back, looking agitated.
Aunt Kyrie, I'm sorry, but you've only got your bad luck to blame. Ah, Zepar! Jessica's roulette of fate has chosen Kyrie.
Why Kyrie?
What's the roulette of fate?
Yeah, but... Okay, George's kind of made sense, right? And he gave a good justification for why he would want to strike back against his mother. Why does Jessica need to strike out against Kyrie? Is it
It's
really
unclear.
just... It happens to be her?
What will you do, Jessica? The roulette has chosen Kyrie, but you may reject that choice and spin the roulette again if you wish. It doesn't matter whose life is sacrificed for this trial.
Jessica wasn't like George. George had willingly chosen Ava to be his sacrifice to signify his separation from his old life, so that he could step into a new life married to Shannon. However, Jessica hadn't thought of any particular target, so she had left it up to the roulette of fate. That was no exaggeration. She had walked around at random, imposing a rule on herself that the first person she met would be chosen as her sacrifice. And so the roulette of fate had brought her to Kyrie. Of course, there was nothing forcing her to keep that rule. However, Jessica didn't want to break a rule she had once made. Even though she was participating in a demon's game, she still wanted to cling to this one last virtue. Right now, she could attack at that unprotected back, but Jessica still wasn't able to fully resolve herself. What is it? You don't... You look like you're thinking about killing someone. I know that face. Do you have something to say to me? Noticing the strange distance Jessica was standing at, Kyrie turned around. That unprotected back was already gone. Jessica realized that her hesitation had made her lose her own first chance. She had taken on this demon's game to prove her love for Cannon. However, would it really be okay to sell her soul to demons for the sake of love? She had energetically consented to this demon's game, not wanting to let George, who had already taken an open-minded view of the situation, get any more of a lead on her, but her heart still wasn't ready.
Maybe I shouldn't be asking you this, Aunt Kyrie.
What is it? It's rare for you to ask me questions, Jessica-chan. I don't think these two have ever interacted in any meaningful way yet.
Yeah.
I hope I'm capable of answering them for you.
Actually, I have someone I like.
Oh, really? Well, that's wonderful. Then is it love you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, pretty much.
Very well. I'll help out if I can.
Thank you very much. Actually,
Is it still one-sided?
no, I guess you could say that it's just become mutual, but, well, There's this trial for us to be joined together.
A trial? Now, what could that be?
There's the two of us and another pair of lovers, and we have to fight each other.
Oh, you mean a love triangle? Or is it a square? Sounds complicated. And?
Only the pair who wins can be together. It's something complicated like that. In other words,
That sounds awful. A love where neither side can succeed unless they use the others as stepping stones.
I do like that Kyrie was like, oh, is it a triangle or a square?
Yep.
Giving me more fuel for canon as Shannon theory, where the seeming love square is actually a love triangle.
I could explain why. I guess, maybe? Then it could create this tension between both of them loving a different version of the same person.
Yeah?
Maybe?
Yeah?
I don't... maybe.
Yes, if we're joined, then they'll fall apart. And the same the other way around.
I think I see where you're going with this. It's something like this, right? How far is a person allowed to take advantage of others to find happiness? Right? Yes, Kyrie was very smart. She had already guessed the question that Jessica had wanted to ask most. If you don't fight, it automatically becomes their victory, and you'll lose. However, if you fight and win, it means that they'll fall apart. It's nasty either way. However, the answer is obvious.
Yes.
You fight, and then you kill them, and you take her place. Sorry, that one might not be applicable to you. Kyrie giggled. If she wasn't willing to stick to her love until the end, then that would show the limits of their relationship. If that were the case, she should just let the other pair of lovers win. However, if this was the love she couldn't abandon, she couldn't abandon her chances at victory either. So, she had no options other than to fight. In the end, Jessica's hesitation was caused by guilt over forcing the others to split apart as the result of her inevitable decision.
I guess I really am just looking for an excuse.
Yes, that is what you're doing.
Still, that doesn't make it any easier to step over someone else for the sake of your own love.
You sure about that, kid? Are you sure about that? In that case, will you give up on your lover? Now I see why these two are having this. It makes a lot more sense that she's good. Yeah.
That's...
I can tell you one thing for certain. Doing that will be even more painful. You'll be forced to crawl through hell for the rest of your life. A hardness had entered Kyrie's gaze.
I was just 6, so I don't remember much about that time. However, I found Mom's notebook among her belongings after she died.
Was it a diary?
It was more a collection of her thoughts. It was much vaguer than a diary would have been. I found it and read it right after she passed away, but I needed to wait until I'd grown for several years before I could understand it.
I see. So, did it speak of Kyrie's worries about her marriage?
It was practically a book of curses. It cleared up several questions I'd vaguely felt back when I was 6. When I was 6, it seemed as though my parents were very close and had no problems. And though I thought it odd that Oni-chan lived separately, even though he was in our family, I accepted it as the way things were.
Did you not know about Osamu?
I think Oni-chan talked to me about her when no one was around, but it wasn't something a kid who wasn't even in elementary school could understand. After all, I never even saw a picture of her. Mom had sent all the pictures with Osamu-san in them to Oni-chan, leaving none behind in the house. To Angie and to Battler, who only rarely came home, Kyrie's smile never faltered. If she hadn't written her thoughts in that notebook, Angie would probably never have known them. Since his school days, Rudolph had been particularly popular with girls, a typical playboy. Be bold, over the top, yet still just a little bit gentle toward women. He probably kept that formula for being popular with women inside his head. In their attempts to win Rudolph's favor, several women tried various seductive tricks. Rudolph probably enjoyed that part the most. Since the beginning, love had been a game to Rudolph. He never thought of it as a trial and error process to find a single life partner. He would intentionally spark jealousy between women, lap up their compliments, and revel in the harem. He may be my father, but he was an awful man. But at the same time, Dad must have looked down on those toadying girls. Mom, who was very aware of her self-worth and extremely intelligent, must have stood out.
Though even that might have been due to Kyrie's more skillful methods of catching Rudolph's gaze.
Yeah, maybe. Mom was smart in a lot of ways. Like the other Ushiromiya siblings, Rudolph had strong ambitions and lofty goals. Under the mottos of "if you can pull it off, you're golden," and "as long as no one finds out," he would alternate between setting up businesses that were borderline swindles or illegal, then running away. I've had that uncle, including the mottos.
We haven't gotten much direct about what Rudolph did for a living, other than that he was involved in lawsuits and trying to pay people off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is like the first real like concrete thing that we've gotten that's like, okay, this describes his business ethos.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind of fits. that kind of, I mean, you kind of got the impression that something was shady with what he was up to, but yeah, this is the first time we've got like a straight statement of.
And this is why Rudolph is in the knows what crypto is, owns crypto on the Ushiromiya siblings alignment chart.
Yes, because he knows enough what it is and he's skeevy enough to try it.
Skeevy enough to scam other people with it.
Exactly. Wait, no, if you're scamming other people with it, then he doesn't own crypto himself.
Sure he does. How else would you scam people with it? You gotta have it, sell it.
Ah, true.
I've heard that in his college years, he was already making use of that talent, thinking up shameless projects and cleverly making money through the panic selling of party tickets. So much that he would brag about carrying a wallet full of 110,000 yen notes all the time. Many women fell for his charisma and being the man responsible for these radical projects, as well as his thick wallet and generosity.
It's not the only thing about me that's thick, if you know what I mean.
It would be a lie to say that Kyrie wasn't one of them. However, what made Kyrie very different from the other women was that she could support Rudolph as a business partner. Rudolph would make a large-scale party successful, unable to hide his laughter at this massive easy profit. The women would surround him. Among them, only Kyrie was calm and composed. She could point out several ways that income and expenditure could be improved upon, and could even lay out a proposal for the next project.
What do you think they mean by parties?
Huh?
So Rudolph slowly began to accept her as a partner.
Just like some people say men don't belong in the kitchen, there's also a sense that women should stay out of financial affairs. It's normal for men to foot the bill for women. And the details of how those 10,000 yen notes were scrounged up are vulgar, so they don't ask, don't know, don't care.
So you're saying that Kyrie viewed money from a man's perspective?
Rudolph noticed a true treasure in this part of Kyrie. He knew exactly how much hard work it took just to get just one of those 10,000 yen notes. So somewhere inside him, he had looked down upon those extravagant women who never even considered the efforts he had undertaken. Of all of them, only Kyrie had possessed the same sharp financial intuition as Rudolph. Every time he thought of a new plan, he would talk to Kyrie about it, work out the kinks, and make it succeed. In this way, Kyrie steadily worked her way up until she was the number one of Rudolph's large group of followers. But Mom was still a woman. I doubt she enjoyed seeing Dad pampered by all those other girls.
So she would rather have been his only one instead of his number one.
Yep. Though she served as Dad's right hand, she slyly got rid of the other women in the shadows. It was only a matter of time before Mom would succeed in her love.
When did Asumu come into the picture?
She was one of Rudolph-san's groupies. Oh, sorry.
She was one of Rudolph-san's groupies. Sorry there. I sounded like my daughter for a moment. No, not even that. She was just one of his finds.
Did you ever talk with her?
Of course. I knew her well. Ever since the very beginning, before Rudolph-san even knew her name. I'm sure she was quite intelligent herself. And cunning. I tried to use my intelligence to stick out, but she did it in exactly the opposite way.
By being stupid?
I mean, she was good at triggering his protective instinct. Out of all the girls who came to flatter and flirt with him, only she stood out with every action she made, unlike the flashy girls Rudolph-san had tired of. Kirie still acknowledges the mistake she made in letting Osamu and Rudolph get too close. Kirie had thought that taking the role of Rudolph's business partner meant she would have him all to herself. That might have been due to her pride, and it might have been her arrogance as she tried to eliminate the relationships between all the other girls and Rudolph. Perhaps she sometimes tried too hard at a business partner, putting too much pressure on him regardless of the fact that it was justified. Bit by bit, Rudolph had started to need a woman who could stay quiet and soothe him, without making him think about anything too complicated. And that woman was Osamu. I am ruthless and intellectual, rational and economical, in a plank of Carneades
You probably had it right.
Carneades?
Something like that.
In a plank of Carneades situation, I would push the other person off without hesitation. I thought that was the kind of partner suitable for him. However, though that ruthlessness had made her reliable on the business side of things, it might have disturbed Rudolph deeply outside of business. At some point, though Rudolph still acknowledged Kirie's skill, he began to yearn for a quiet, warm acceptance. Osamu had satisfied all those conditions. She would never talk about anything complicated. Even if he did, she would just shake her head and say she didn't know. However, she would care more for him physically than anyone else, quietly putting a blanket on him and staying by his side until morning. Yes, I did get the position of his business partner, but before I knew it, Rudolph-san had grown a need for a mental partner, someone who could heal his heart. Though I foolishly claimed to be the intellectual one, I never noticed.
And then Uncle Rudolph married Aunt Osamu?
Yes, that is right. She stole him away by sleeping with him. He had slept with a lot of women. By that point, he wasn't the kind of guy to let his emotions be captured by a woman just because he slept with her. After all, sleeping with women was just a game to him, and that is why I used something other than my body to attract his attention. What pride as a woman!
Before long, they were both pregnant. Osamu-san told Dad about it right away, but Mom did the opposite.
So, she was afraid that the pregnancy would threaten her position as his business partner.
Apparently, Mom didn't eat much at the time, so her period was often irregular. Because of that, it took a really long time before she realized she was pregnant.
When did she notice?
It was after Osamu-san suddenly moved into Dad's family register. Mom learned about her pregnancy after that and plotted several times to split Osamu-san and Dad apart, but...
Convenient timing. Even though Osamu-san always acted like such an airhead, once she got her hands on Rudolph-san, she didn't let go. Why should I care? Please stay out of our way, she'd say. And this coming from that little girl who would curl up into a ball every time she got on a bus. At that point I realized she had been the truly cunning one. Yes, even her fear of vehicles was another lie to catch Rudolph-san's sympathy. My apologies, I must be boring you.
Oh, no.
At the very least, I wanted him to acknowledge the child I would give birth to. It seems as though Rudolph-san was prepared to do that. He made sure there was a hospital waiting for me, and even though Osamu-san was close to giving birth herself, he gallantly came to see me. Even though she was already his wife. What an awful man, really. After that is a tale I can't bear even to tell. Both Osamu and I had the same delivery date. Here we go. This is maybe we're finally going to get an answer to this.
All right.
And yet her pregnancy had meant her marriage, where mine was completely meaningless. I swore to bring up my child well and have Rudolph-san acknowledge it. The fight between Osamu-san and me ended with my loss. However, I wasn't down for the count. If I could make my child excel far more than Osamu-san's, If I could make it fully acknowledged by Rudolph-san, I would be rewarded. That is what I believed. However, that child was a stillbirth.
Yeah. Asamu-san gave birth to Oni-chan.
Wait, how do you still think that? Alright.
What do you mean? That's just something we theorized, right?
Well, no, because Battler couldn't say in red that he was Asamu's son.
That's true, but there's any number of reasons you can't say something in red.
Alright.
But Mom didn't give birth to anyone. Even Mom's final hope of being left to spot as Dad's second wife was destroyed.
Mom didn't give birth to anyone? Oh, she's talking about Kyrie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yep, got it. Kyrie had fallen from being his partner to being his second wife. And then, unable to give birth to the bond of a child, she tumbled down to being merely his mistress. Can't imagine how much she must have hated Osamu and that kid. Battler.
And despite that, Mom was able to act in a very friendly way towards Oni-chan. It was definitely a shock for me to think that my gentle mother had held such negative emotions for Oni-chan and had managed to hide them.
She must have despised Battler.
Probably. If Asamu-san had had a stillbirth and Mom had given birth to Oni-chan, history might have changed in some way. Had that been the case, it seems she would have wanted to set up some scenario in which she'd make Dad divorce Asamu-san and marry her instead.
Was that also written in that book where she kept her thoughts?
Yeah. After that, all that was just a random thought, a delusion.
So Featherine has seen this book about Osamu, Osamu's inner thoughts, huh? Or no, Kyrie's inner thoughts.
Apparently. Mom's resentment as she chewed on the corner of her tear-stained bed sheets.
There's just one thing that I regret.
You mean the pregnancy?
No, it's my arrogance that I regret. Rudolph-san is mine now, so I am completely safe. I'll never lose to that Osamu kid. When she was busy screaming her head off in buses and planes, I was capable of properly managing the arrangements and expenditures for them. Huh, kind of like Battler.
Yeah. That's what we had heard right at the beginning, right? That Battler was afraid of vehicles just like his mom.
I forgot the just like his mom part.
Yeah.
And so I was overly confident that I was the one Rudolph-san trusted the most. They say love needs to be nurtured, right?
Yeah.
That's not wrong. The two of you need to water it, care for it, and nurture it. And in the end, it will finally bear the fruit called love. Did you know? Love doesn't end when it bears fruit. If you don't harvest it as well, the romance you started with will never amount to anything.
Harvest it?
You'll need to think about that yourself, Jessica-chan. If you make it bear fruit without harvesting it, it can sometimes grow rotten, and bugs will often gather around it. In fact, sometimes thieves will come by to pluck it off the branch. Young kids like you, Jessica-chan, think that love ends with nurturing. That is naive. If you don't harvest it, you'll never be rewarded for your love.
Harvest love?
At a glance, it may seem to be a matter just between the pair of lovers, but that isn't true. Putting off the harvest because you assume you can do it at any time just gives thieves a chance. What if that fruit you've worked so hard to nurture gets pulled off the branch the next morning? You'll regret that you didn't choose to harvest it the previous day instead of complaining. That regret really hurts. It'll make you crawl through hell. I'm lucky. My hell ended after 18 years. So I'll never misjudge myself again. That person is mine. I won't let him get away. I won't let him out of my sight. And I'm grateful to my master for giving me that chance. My certain willpower and not giving up on that man no matter what was answered with a miracle. By now, Jessica was speechless and didn't even urge Kyrie to continue. This true form of love that Kyrie was telling her about was far, far more harsh than anything she had imagined. Right now, I would do anything to keep Rudolph-san by my side, and I will show no mercy against his enemies. If he wished it, I might not even hesitate at murder. And because I finally resolved myself to doing that on the 18th year,
What?
that certain willpower brought about a miracle for me.
Woo!
What?
Did she kill Asumu? What the fuck?
Did you fucking kill Awesome?
Real girl boss here.
Real girl boss. Yeah, you love to see a girl boss winning.
Yeah.
Either that or like I never thought. I thought she would probably be like constantly harping around the edges. I didn't think she'd actually go out and kill Asumu herself, though.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know, miracles only appear to those who can bring them to completion themselves. Asumu's death had not been a murder of any sort. However, Kyrie had constantly cursed her and hoped for her death. And finally, on the 18th year, she had built up the determination to kill her with her own hands. And she actually had gotten herself a blade to do the deed with. And that was when the miracle had occurred. So she had been gunning herself up to do it, and then Asumu just kicked the bucket on her own.
Why do you even do that? You spent 18 years building up grudge against this person, plotting a fucking murder. You drive on over to their house to finally stab them and find that they just died. And they're like, well, fuck.
All right.
Sure.
You gonna read your line, or am I...
Oh, sorry. I didn't realize it was my line. On Asumu passing away was a miracle?
Wrong. That wasn't even close to a miracle.
Huh?
After all, if she hadn't died, I would have killed her. In other words, she was fated to die no matter what. The miracle is that, even though she did die, I didn't have to get my hands dirty. That is all.
Hell yeah.
And yeah. Hashtag girl boss. Until now, Kyrie had never shown Jessica... No, she had never even shown Rudolph that glint in the deepest depths of her eyes. It told plainly and clearly that romance and love are not the sweet and fluffy candies that young girls imagine them to be. Jessica was overwhelmed by that pressure and stunned, silent. And yet she had to acknowledge it. This was the power of will that could make love be realized. With the force of this willpower, Kyrie had supported Rudolph as a wife. It was the same as George's. He had already developed and proven that he had the willpower to oppose all obstacles to love between the different classes. Right now, Jessica could clearly understand. This was the magnitude of George's determination, which had allowed him to coldly carry out his part of the trial. Then what about her? Did she really have the resolve to make her love with Canon bear fruit, and to then harvest that fruit? Just a random thought I was thinking about is that this definitely takes place in a different fragment than the one with George.
Yeah.
Or at least it's not in the same temporal order.
Yeah.
Because when, at the very beginning of the scene, when Kyrie was leaving, they mentioned that all four siblings were still there talking.
They did.
So Ava is still alive at this point.
Mm-hmm.
All four siblings with Natsuhi and Kyrie mentioned separately.
Yep.
No word about Hideyoshi, but maybe he went off to go nap in the guest room. I'm sorry. You probably just wanted a little advice and I've scared you. Blame the weather. I just wanted to pressure you a bit, but I've gone overboard. Kyrie let a relaxed smile rise to her face. The tense atmosphere finally slackened. However, her words had been gouged into Jessica's heart. I don't know what your love has been like, Jessica-chan. But if you have a rival, and neither is willing to back down, you can't let yourself become complacent. If you do, you'll end up like me. For the sake of love, a woman should be prepared to kill at least once in her life. I can tell you that all women in the world who call themselves mothers have been through that. After all, women who don't do that are chewed to bits by the others and forced to crawl through the hell of envy and regret for the rest of their lives. My hell lasted for 18 years. I was lucky to be pardoned after just 18 years. That hell is still filled with women who will never get out until they die. Unless they executed themselves in their regret.
How should I put it? I have nothing to say.
I was trying to cheer you on, but here I've gone and scared you too much. I am truly sorry. Love can be much more easygoing than that, okay? Love really is like playing with fire. Anyone can play easily and lightheartedly, but when you mess up and get burned, that scar stays with you your whole life. Regrets from love never fade. That was all Kyrie had been trying to communicate. It wasn't like Kyrie to start telling stories from her past, stories you would normally expect her to avoid, instead of giving a brief answer. However, Kyrie might have thought Jessica deserved to hear. Jessica had timidly brought up the subject of love. Perhaps Kyrie had opened up and told everything because she had seen the fires of Jessica's determination in her eyes.
Everyone on this fucking island needs to go to not just therapy. They need a new form of therapy for these people. They like double counseling.
Oh, you're one of the Uchiromia, huh? All right, hold on. Boss, we got another one for the program. Okay, I need to head back soon. Let's keep what we've talked about here a secret, okay? With a mysterious smile on her face, Kyrie turned around. I wonder if I scared her too much. Still, it's 100 times better to learn of that hell from a warning. Once you've fallen into it, it's already too late. Good luck, Jessica-chan. It sounds complicated, but don't lose. Not every day I get to act as a mentor.
Kyrie being like, oh, by the way, if somebody else is into the person you love, just murder them. It's a good idea that everyone should do. Haha, pats herself on the back. I'm such a good teacher.
You know, I'm pretty good at this whole mentoring thing. Maybe I should start a podcast.
Oh my god.
It'll be like a short thing where I have engaging conversations with people so I don't have to do research. There we go. It'll be Kyrie Says. What is it, Jessica-chan? Huh? A windstorm grazed Kyrie's head. Jessica with fucking irises is fucked up.
And gray, dead eyes.
Yep. It had been a hair's breadth away. If Kyrie hadn't twisted her body slightly, that fist would probably be buried in her face by now. A bitter smile rose to Jessica's face when she saw that her first strike had failed to land a kill.
Just so you know, I didn't strike you unawares out of cowardice. I hoped to end it with a single painless strike before you realized what was happening.
Didn't I tell you that I've lived through the hell of jealousy? I've been nearly burned a couple of times already. I know how it feels to just before a surprise attack.
You mean you could sense it?
God, what is wrong with... Okay, hold on. What is it that... What is she... I need to figure out exactly what it is that's different about her portrait that's bothering me. What does her eyes normally look
Top
like?
right.
Thank you. So her eyes are normally just full-on colored in like that. Okay.
Yeah, and with like a little glint in them.
Yeah, a little glint in them. Okay, sorry. Like, I could tell it was different, but I couldn't figure out specifically why it was bothering me. Okay, cool. That plus the lie you told in the beginning.
A lie?
Come now. If you had come from the guest house to get a book from your room, you wouldn't have come through this hallway in that direction. Of the 7 reasons you might have had for lying, which chessboard theory led me to, this was the worst case scenario. Wait, what is this track? I've never heard this one. Telling a hasty lie to Kyrie would only put her on her guard.
New witch music just dropped.
If Jessica hadn't told that lie, her surprise attack would have succeeded. Make sure to drop the track name for this one in the comments. Vivian's dancing though you can't see it.
Not bad. I should have expected it from you, Aunt Kyrie.
Why? You were planning to kill me from the beginning.
It didn't matter who it was.
Oh, how horrible.
It's what you said that gave me the boost I needed. Thanks a lot.
What? Kyrie dodged the punch, placed her hand against that fist, and slammed it against the wall. Normally, Jessica would have hurt her hand on the wall and rolled around clutching it in pain. However, Jessica's fist had left what looked like a meter-wide crater in the wall. Instead of wearing a look of anguish, Jessica clicked her tongue in irritation at having missed. Incredible. I see that you are indeed your father's daughter. Okay. They're just gonna drop that on us, huh? Okay.
Boxing numbers fight. Boxing numbers fight.
Have you taken up boxing as well? Impossible. Jessica is bare-handed. She isn't holding any sort of weapon at all.
Please don't resist, Aunt Kyrie. Just one strike to the head. I won't let you feel a thing.
Kyrie tried to look confident, but she couldn't hide her confusion at this unreal destructive force. If that punch had hit, her head would probably have split open like Jessica had said, killing her without any pain.
Here I go.
Huh? If Kyrie's kick off... Was that a gun cocking that I just heard? If Kyrie's kick off the ground backward leap had been an instant slower, her gut probably would have been pulverized. Okay, now she's doing fancy anime moves. Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
Though she had avoided it by a hair, Jessica's left body blow was followed by a terrible burst of wind, like an explosion which blew Kyrie back. Is this a dream? Am I still sleeping? I don't understand! This Jessica looked like the normal Jessica, but something was different. It wasn't human, and common sense didn't apply to it. This had to be some kind of nightmare. Kyrie slowly stood up. Then she looked at Jessica, noticed the several meters between them, and realized just how far that blast of wind had sent her flying.
Feel free to hate me.
Yeah, every time she comes in, there's the cocking sound.
Yeah, huh?
It's the same one that's used whenever Nox shows up and whenever someone is aiming a gun.
Interesting.
I don't know what to make of that.
However, just like you, I cannot back down. I can't let my love end half-baked either.
What are you talking about? What are you saying? What on earth is going on? Someone tell me! The scene around Jessica seemed to bend like a heat wave. It seemed to be enshrouding her fists, and it seemed as though something like a red magic circle had appeared beneath her feet. It looked just like a western demon standing amidst the flames of hell.
Flame upgrade. Mass upgrade. Armor-piercing upgrade.
Each time Jessica muttered, her fists were surrounded by a pulsating, sinister red light. Those fists, which were actually smoking, surely represented the iron hammers of hell wielded by demons. Goodbye. This is just a nightmare. Kyrie dashed away with the lightning speed. Yes, right now that was her best option. Fortunately, she was smart enough to realize that pinching her cheek wasn't the best way to wake up from this nightmare.
Ronove.
When Jessica muttered once more, a blood-red magical barrier cut across the corridor. Kyrie slammed into it hard and realized that her path of escape had been cut off. Make this stop! I don't understand! This is a nightmare! It's a nightmare! Just let me wake up quickly!
Yes, this is a nightmare. If you want, I'll wake you up right now. Just one strike. Don't move.
If in the fighting game, I bet Jessica is a heavy commitment but high payoff character. Just lots of slow moves but very heavy hitting and high reward. Focused a lot more on getting hard reads than... At least that's the impression I'm getting of her right now.
Jessica has Falcon Punch.
Yeah, Jessica has Falcon Punch, basically. Wielding her flames, Jessica slowly stepped forward towards her. Each time her foot lifted off the floor, a scorching steam hung around her footprint. This was a true nightmare. Kyrie clutched her head in her hand, shaking it over and over again. It is a nightmare, right? This is a nightmare, isn't it? Please tell me it is.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
It is, right? It's a nightmare, right? Ah! Never seen Kyrie like this ever.
Yeah? I acknowledge it. This is a nightmare.
I do too. I acknowledge that this is a nightmare, so...
I'll wake you up. Just one strike. Wah!
Wah. Why did you Waluigi at the end? Ah! Jessica's neck twisted at an odd angle. And she staggered backwards, her eyes white, as though she didn't have a clue what just happened. In her forehead, a demon stake was buried at an angle. It pulled itself out of her, spun around, then became Leviathan and landed. The hole left behind in Jessica's head spewed blood.
Leviathan of Envy, right here.
If we were already inside a nightmare, why not have a friend from my nightmares show up? So Leviathan is your friend, huh?
Huh.
Interesting. Okay, okay. My friend from the hell of envy. Thank you for showing up just in the nick of time.
It's too early to thank me. She's not down yet.
Ugh. Ugh.
Even though she had taken a deep gouge to the top of her head, Jessica just stood there, convulsing and white-eyed, and didn't fall over. The blood stopped pouring out of her forehead, and her blank doll-like eyes returned. Then she slowly pressed her own hand against the wound in her forehead. There was a sizzle as though she had pressed a hot iron against it. It was easy to tell that she was doing this to seal up the wound. If Kyria didn't escape now, there would never be another chance. Can I defeat her?
No such luck. She's immortal thanks to a contract with one of the great demons.
Because of love. That's why she's immortal. Yes, love is magnificent. Those with our blessings cannot be killed.
Can we break that red magic wall?
Runaway-sama is also a great demon. There's nothing I can do.
Can we escape through the window?
That was blocked by Runaway-sama's barrier a while ago.
Incredible. So she has sold her soul to demons for the sake of love.
How could she make so many contracts with the great demons? I'm so jealous.
Yeah, you would be, wouldn't you?
What is that supposed to mean?
Armor upgrade. All attribute defense. Counterattacking armor upgrade.
She's doing the fucking Eins, isn't she?
Yeah.
Just sitting there casting buff spells for 5 minutes before going into the fight. In response to these words, this time her entire body pulsated with a red light. She had upgraded herself with a defensive power that would prevent Leviathan's attacks from working again. What is she talking about?
Self-augmentation. It's a kind of enchantment. Right now she has enough defensive power to stop me from piercing her. And she even has the ability to reflect the damage back upon the attacker. She's got shine. She's played fucking melee. She's no longer human. She's a monster. Look at her wave dash.
The year is 20XX.
The year is 20XX. October 4th.
I forget what the dates of the island are.
Oh, this battle will be determined purely by port priority.
Oh, is that all? Then not much has changed, huh?
How can you say that?
Just like in the very beginning, we still have no chance of winning.
That hurt. But it won't work again.
Jessica slowly lifted the hand that had been covering her forehead, and there was no longer any hole there. The hall was cut off by barriers on both sides, and even the windows were sealed. There was no way out. Is the door to this room sealed?
No, it's just locked. But it's just a normal room. It does have a window, but it's already been sealed. In other words, it's a closed room and a coffin. And a coffin for us.
Coffin is just what I need. Unlock it. I'm jealous. Why are you the only one who can unlock it? So the stakes have a property that lets them unlock the doors? I guess that would work if they're like shaped like a lockpick or something. Leviathan's stake flew about at high speeds, ramming itself into the keyhole in that room. The tip of the stake had become a key. As soon as it was unlocked, the door flew open. We've never seen this before. Or if we have, it's only been in passing.
Yeah.
Wait, Is this Krause's room? I think we've seen this before. Both of them fell into the room and quickly locked it. This was probably Krause. Yeah, okay, there it is, Krause's study. Its soothing furnishings brought about a sense of nobility that Krause would probably like.
Even if you lock the doors, you can just smash through it with one punch. You just put the lid on your own coffin.
However, if she wants to land a killing blow on us inside this coffin, she'll have to take the lid off first. With dim eyes, Jessica tilted her head upon hearing Kyrie's words.
What are you talking about? How will such a small room be able to protect you, Aunt Kyrie?
This room may be a closed room. It may leave us with no method of escape. However, even you can't break into this room. That is what a closed room is. Because there'd be no way for her to get out without showing that she had been in there. Kyrie can't die in a perfectly locked room. Because then there's no way for her to leave evidence that she had been... Yeah. No, that checks out. Okay.
What are you talking about? How does this tiny room with its tiny door make you think you can escape me?
I also like to imagine Jessica's grown like 6 inches. Jessica wearily looked between her own burning fists and the door with a confused expression on her face. Then slowly she sent that pulsating red light to her fists. She repeatedly enchanted her fists to give them the destructive power for the killing blow.
I'll smash this door to bits.
If you think you can, give it a try.
Kyrie!
After sealing the door and calmly saying those words, Kyrie placed a single index finger on the door. Jessica slowly raised her fire-wreathed demon's fists.
So long, Aunt Kyrie.
Missed another opportunity.
What?
For the gay Bowser.
Kyrie!
What the fuck is this music?
Oh.
Jessica's fist slammed into the door in slow motion. It was like the decisive scene in a movie was being acted out. However, this was no act. Jessica's fists really were slowing down as though they were being sucked in, like a spoon sinks in through a jar of honey. That punch was no longer a punch. It was no more than a knock. I envy you.
Envy.
I crawled through the hell of envy for 18 years because of my arrogance and naivete in love. So I envy you. What the fuck is this? This is great. Drop this one in the comments too. You're going to remember my warning. Succeed in love and walk a beautiful life, right?
Ha!
Ah, how I envy you. You'll get to live through most of the beautiful time in a woman's life for a full 18 years longer than I did. I envy you so much. Jessica tried to slam her fists against the door over and over again. However, as soon as her fist approached it, its speed plummeted. She could barely knock, much less smash the door.
Speed upgrade. Instantaneous force upgrade. Speed of sound upgrade.
It's useless, girl.
Smash it.
With full speed upgrades, Jessica's fist moved at the speed of sound, 1,225 kilometers per hour.
Math battle, math battle, math battle.
Hold on. Sorry, I'm allergic to math battles. However, how long had Jessica been in envy to gain that speed? She had started to envy George and Shannon's relationship about 2 years ago? 2 times 365 is 730 days. 730 times 24 is 17,520 hours. However, she wasn't envious all the time. It only happened when Shannon started going on about George. Shannon shifted about 3 days of the week, divided by 7 times 3. And it wasn't as though she could go on about George all day long. Her fond words for him would only leave a mark on Jessica for about an hour, right? It's only 1/24th of each day. 17,520 divided by 7 times 3 divided by 24 equals 312, removing the fractional part. The number of hours that Kyrie had been jealous was 157,680. In other words, this wasn't even 0.2% of the time Kyrie had been jealous. Even at 1,225 kilometers per hour, the speed of sound only becomes 2.45 kilometers per hour in the 1/500 world. Do you understand? You're lacking in both love and jealousy. What, you don't like Emzaki? Even if she increased the speed of her fist, in Kyrie's world, Jessica couldn't make it any faster than a walking child. Jessica ground her teeth, her fist still pressed against the door. If someone could have seen this from both sides of the door, it would have looked as though Kyrie was holding it shut with a single finger.
Way to go, Kyrie! Yeah, go team!
See? This room is a closed room. At most, Jessica-chan can knock on the door, but she can't lay a finger on us inside. Ah, Beatrice's definition of a closed room.
What the heck is that?
At this rate, this closed room will be troublesome indeed. It is impossible for a human to carry out a closed room murder. Only magic can do that. Until you truly understand magic, you will not be able to crush it. Jessica-chan can't corner me any further. As time passes, the relatives will eventually realize that I haven't returned, and they'll start searching the mansion. Then, you will be observed. Both witches and magic disappear when they are observed. The nightmare is already over, girl.
Damn it! Oh, I can't believe that Jessica's suddenly getting eliminated. Oh, please give it your all. Do it for your beloved canon. Come, Jessica, believe in love and show us a miracle.
I revised that. There isn't even any need to wait for time to pass. After all, there's an internal phone line right here. Of course, the line hasn't been cut. I'll just pick up this receiver.
And make you a believer.
We already used that joke. Shit. This is my checkmate.
Construction completed. Closed room murder.
My. I do believe that is valid.
Permeation upgrade. Attack transmission. Indirect attack power upgrade.
Huh? Jessica's fist, which was pressed against the door, glowed red and then white hot. Jessica found a way through the closed room. Jessica didn't even swing her fist. She just kept it pressed against the door. However, Jessica's murder extended within the closed room. Through the crack in the door, through the keyhole, burst the flames of hell. The keyhole.
All this about the fucking keyholes. All this about the fucking keyholes.
Yep.
I apologize if my mic is clipping because I keep yelling.
No, that's all good. I can fix that in post. Plus, you're usually quieter than I am, so that's fine. I'd rather people be able to hear you. Jessica couldn't see what was happening inside the room. However, even here on the other side of the door, she could tell that the flames of hell had swallowed the entire room. Kiria's smoldering death throes could be heard from across the door. Jessica clearly heard as Kiria danced a dance of death amidst the hellfire, fell to her knees, and slumped over to the floor. Slowly, Jessica tore her burning fist away from the door.
If you love the hell of envy so much, then burn. Burn in the flames of envy for all time. There are probably some things that can be learned from envy. However, it's nothing to be praised, and going through it is no one's duty. It seems you were too proud after all, Aunt Kyrie.
A splendid closed room murder.
I'll let you take care of the mess. I'd hate for her corpse to be burnt to a crisp when it's finally found. Do you think you could clean it up?
As you wish, milady. Ronove transformed into a gold butterfly and entered the Krause's study through the keyhole. Fucking keyholes. Then he had to cross his arms and think about how he should even start cleaning up Kiria's unrecognizable corpse in this room that had ended up as a burning hell. It's not Kiria's corpse, that's Enzo's corpse. Jessica finally let out the breath that she had been holding down in her chest. Her normal human glint finally returned to her eyes, and then she couldn't help but shudder at what she had done, even if it had just been a trial on the game board for the sake of her love.
Is that good enough, demons?
Yes, well done, Jessica. Your love is the real deal.
This Banto expression is so like the yeah.
Big just nod and smile
Just
energy.
nod and smile energy. Yep. George welcomed Jessica with crisp applause. Banto timidly tried to join him, but Jessica yelled at her and she stopped.
It's just something that happened on the game board. There's no need to look so sad about it. I know that logically, but still, how am I supposed to just accept it emotionally?
Milady.
Canon-kun, I love you. I can't give up. That's why I've shown you how I feel. I didn't do something wrong, did I? I'm not wrong, am I?
Milady. As Jessica started to sob, Cannon held her quietly, and he realized that he would have to carry on the determination she had shown him.
You didn't make any mistakes. And it also isn't a mistake to keep your human heart and be sad. I just happen to be a bit more of a stoic when it comes to that sort of thing. Murdering people doesn't really affect me.
Yeah, okay,
Not everyone can match up to George-sama's level. But in any event, you have completed your trial, milady. Well done.
Oh.
I admire the strength of your determination. I see. Both George and Jessica have splendidly succeeded just the same. Very impressive, Jessica. That closed room murder just now was wonderful enough to fascinate even a witch like myself.
Jessica had used magic to kill Kyrie, who had holed up inside a closed room. In that instant, Jessica had constructed a closed room murder, had it acknowledged by the demons, and raised it to the level of magic.
Your 2 trials have been completed. So then, who will take the next challenge? Will it be Beatrice-sama? No, it might be Shannon. No, this has to be Cannon's time to shine. Come, speak up. Who is next? Who will take the next trial?
On Who Wants to Be a Murderer?
What witch would hesitate at committing murder on the game board? Even shyness can kill love. All right, who will carry out the next murder of love?
The 3 who remained looked at each other. If none of the others raised their hands in the next few seconds, they would raise their own hand. All 3 thought this at the same time. So they all raised their hands at the same time. The ones they loved had already shown their determination. They had to carry on. What a fucking weird game this is. What a strange ass game this is.
Oh, Power Mom Kyrie.
Rip to Kyrie, but I'm different.
we need a fucking Photoshop of Kyrie with a Mom of the Year mug or whatever, right? And the smug face.
Moms of the Year. All right, we're done here. See you all next time.
Bye.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.